Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review for the Philips 242G5DJEB 24-inch LED monitor that's at 144Hz at 1080p. So this monitor is a 16:9 monitor and can be found on Amazon for about £230 to £240. This monitor's biggest feature is the fact that it's aimed at gamers at 144Hz, and on top of that has a quoted smart response time of 1 milliseconds G to G. However, this isn't quite the case when you run it at 144Hz, simply because that overdrive functionality isn't available. Therefore, the response time drops a little bit due to that. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the build quality before going into my actual thoughts and opinions of the panel itself and its performance, because I think it's a quite important part of buying a monitor. Now the build quality of the monitor is actually very good. If I just take the camera back a little bit and just zoom into the stand, you'll be able to see that the bezel is reasonably thin, therefore it's quite nice if you want to put a couple of displays next to it. On top of that, the monitor is finished with like a reddish finish, which in my opinion really brings it out and sets it aside from the rest of the monitors. It also does look kind of gaming or /AMD looking, which is quite nice to see. The stand itself is actually very good. If you ignore my little mechanical key tester right there, the stand really does it's a great job. It's a very sturdy stand and doesn't really move about with the monitor, and on top of that can be adjusted in a variety of functions, as you can see, like so. And if I bring it down and up like that. So the stand itself is very good and I think is very well made. In fact, it's probably one of the best stands I've come across in terms of monitors, so props to Philips for thinking of that. On top of that, you actually get a little control pod over here right next to Yoda. You've got a little control pod over here, which is actually quite clever. There's almost like a quick functionalities for the menu. If I press this, you'll be able to see the OSD that pops up, and I can easily select between certain things. 1 and 2, for example, go between displays and everything. You can even change the smart image, for example. It's small things like that which I think are quite nice. This is not an extra, this is actually included with the monitor, and I think it's actually quite useful to have, rather than fiddling with the little buttons underneath the screen. Speaking about the buttons underneath the screen, they are very small and very hard to see. In fact, I find it kind of odd that the power button was so far on the right. You will maybe be hardly able to see it over here, but the power button, normally I'm used to having it over here, is actually on the right hand side over here, very close to the edge of the screen. I found this quite odd because normally when I was coming to switching off, I was just pressing this button, which was popping up the OSD, which is the second button from the right. So it's just something I noted when using the monitor, simply because it's just a little feature that some people might notice. Other than that, the OSD is quite nice and easy to use and has all the functionalities that you want. Now, in terms of the inputs that this monitor has and even outputs, I'm going to use digital versus pictures over here simply because it's very easy to see and they're very well presented. As you'll be able to see at the top image, you've got several different ports. On the right hand side, you've got 2 HDMI ports, one of them that has a Mhl compatibility, therefore allowing you to plug it in a mobile device. You've got a DVI port, a VGA port, and you've got a display port. Right now my monitor is connected via DVI-D to my GPUs. However, one thing I did notice about these ports is that when I connected via DisplayPort, for some reason or another, I couldn't run the monitor at 144Hz. So do bear that in mind. I'm not quite sure why that happens, but if you want to run it at 144Hz, you're better off just using a DVI-D or potentially HDMI. I'm using this monitor at 144Hz, and I haven't been running anything lower than that ever since I've plugged it into DVI-D. On top of that, on the left hand side of this monitor, you find 4 USB 3.0 ports which can be connected up to your PC. What I found intriguing about this is that normally the USB ports are placed on the right hand side of the monitor. In this case they're placed on the left hand side of the monitor. I found that quite interesting, and the first time I've actually seen ports on the left hand side. The reason I'm saying this is interesting is simply because normally PCs are placed on the right hand side. Due to cases being opened or having windows, they're normally placed on the right hand side for gamers. In this respect they're placed on the left hand side, therefore you're going to have a cable trailing from the left hand side all the way down to your PC. The cable is long enough, so I wouldn't worry about that anyway, but it's just something I thought to note about that. Overall, the build quality is very good and I was very much impressed with it. I think that Philips has done a great job in the overall build quality and should be commemorated, especially for this little device over here that is quite useful to have. Just as an FYI, this cable is connected via micro USB slots, which goes to the left of the display port at the back of the monitor. So now talking about the panel itself. The panel itself runs a TN panel, and previously I had reviewed the AOC G2460PQU. I mean, they really have to make these names shorter. And this was also a 144Hz monitor. It was almost the same specs. This monitor was actually in fact about £180, which is significantly cheaper monitor wise in comparison to this Philips. What does this Philips offer over the AOC? Well, as far as specs go, you might not see any difference, but in terms of the actual visual performance, I actually noticed quite a bit of difference. The colours of the Philips was actually much better. You can see Battlefield 4 running in the background over here. The colours were better and they were a bit more truer. With that said, I was still not that impressed with the display, simply because it is a TN display. Again, I pointed this out in my AOC review, and loads of people critiqued me for saying you're not buying a 144Hz monitor for its display properties. You're probably buying it mainly for its gaming properties. And as much as I agree, there is also the fact that you might be buying this monitor to game, but also view pictures and things like that. Personally, I couldn't really stand looking at pictures because the quality of the image was pretty poor. I don't know if it's because I'm used to a PLS or IPS panel, or simply the fact that this TN panel reminded me of the AOC, which I really disliked. That said, as I said just previously, it is a slight notch better than the AOC. I don't know what it is, and it's definitely not placebo. I think it's got a slight notch over it. Does it warrant the £40-odd price difference? I'm not sure. Maybe the inclusion of this little device over here does it for you? Potentially, I'm not sure. And again, potentially the fact that this is MHL compliant and also has more ports on it might also veer you in the Philips direction. But what about the gaming performance? Something that's extremely important in terms of buying this game. As you'll be able to see, I am running over 144 Hz and I'm running at 1080p. Just to confirm that to you, I'm just going to go in my video settings and show you that I'm running 144 Hz at 1080p on Battlefield 4. And I have SLI 680s running right now. So therefore, my GPUs are very much capable of producing a solid over 100 FPS number at 1080p. Now, in terms of the performance itself, I was very much impressed. It looked really well and was extremely responsive. Responsive is one of the key words over here. The responsiveness and the input lag were very minimal. Despite not having that overdrive functionality, I was very much impressed of how good it was. The 144Hz really does come out, and therefore when you're using it to game, you won't notice any tearing. So that is a really a big plus point for gamers out there, especially serious competitive gamers. So in terms of gaming performance, I would definitely recommend this monitor. I really did enjoy using it, and I think it's really good. It does keep up well in terms of image quality in games, but as I said, not the best. So overall, this monitor is a good monitor, especially if you're gaming minded. You're going to be really enjoying this monitor. I think it's a step up over the AOC that I used, but that said, still not something that I would personally go out and buy, simply because I would prefer better colors, but still not compromise that extra responsiveness. So if you're looking for a really nice responsive monitor that's reasonably affordable and has a nice design in terms of build quality and a few extra perks and functions, then I'll definitely look at this Philips monitor. At 230 to 240 pounds, it is reasonably affordable as far as gaming monitors go, and I think it should be on a must-buy list when a gamer is looking for a serious monitor to buy. Alright guys, well, I've been Totally Dubbed. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe, as it always helps, and do favorite and share this video if you found it helpful, or if you feel that it's going to be helpful for other people out there. I should also say, definitely do comment, even though I said that already. Definitely do comment in your and give me your opinions of the monitor, or if you were thinking of buying this monitor or something like that, or if you got any other questions, definitely do shoot them along. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Hopefully this review has been thorough and that you've enjoyed it, and it's been helpful. Alright guys, Totally Dubbed out. Bye bye.